Welcome to Plugin. Today is episode 23, and our guest today is Mike Munzing.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you, Avi. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. I love to have you on the show. Every time we are here, we talk about a lot of things. But let me just add that you are the Aliso Viejo councilman and mayor pro tem.
For this year, hoping mayor will be next year, but we'll see how that goes. If I behave this year, maybe I'll be mayor next year.
I know you like politics because you are up to your ears with politics.
You know,
so.
it all stemmed from being in the mortgage industry 27 years now.
Okay.
And when the collapse came back in, 07, 08?
Something like that. It actually started at 06.
06, yeah. I saw it coming. I've been talking about it for a long time. And then the mortgage brokers were to blame for the whole thing. And I was one of the ones that said that the government was definitely a big part of the problem.
The mortgage brokers just took advantage of the window that politicians opened.
Absolutely. And we didn't lend our own money, but a lot of bad brokers doing a lot of bad things. But the government
it's like you bring a Brinks truck in the middle of the city and you keep it open and the money's showing. Everybody going to
so that got me real active. I saw the government doing a lot of bad things, and I said, I need to get involved here. I've always been passionate about that, but finally got very involved.
Okay, but this all happened on Bush watch.
Yeah, well, it happened well before that.
Yeah, but the collapse
of course,
and the demise of
everybody was to blame. When you had George Bush saying, "I never could have seen that coming," I was like, "I've been talking about it for 5-6 years."
And Greenspan kept saying it's frothy.
Everybody was to blame.
So, okay, how's this transpired to get you to become a councilman? I know I saw your posters.
What happened was I got more involved in that whole crazy Tea Party movement. That was great. Just a bunch of people saying, leave us alone and stop doing the stuff you're doing. And that led on to me getting elected to the local 73rd Assembly District for the Republican Party.
Okay.
Because that's who I'd been affiliated with. Okay. And seeing a lot more good and the bad and the ugly on both sides now. But I'm still on the executive board of the local party as well as the state party. I'm on the state delegate as well. But that led to me running for local city council. Okay. I saw them doing some things that I didn't approve of and just got very involved.
Are you inspiring for bigger, higher office?
What you find is that there has to be an office to run for.
Okay.
And that's the tricky part, is that good friend of mine, Bill Bro, won the assembly seat this last election, and he may well have that for 12 years.
Okay.
So that's the assembly. That would be the logical next step. State senator, Pat Bates just got that. Okay. I don't know how long Pat's going to be around for that. So
what about governor? I mean,
probably not governor.
Southern California, it's mostly
that's
conservatives.
Of course. That's why I'm at home down here. But Northern California is still part of the process. So I'm potentially looking at Congress with Congressman Rohrabacher.
Okay.
And at one point, he's saying at one point he'll retire, but if he doesn't retire, I don't run against him. He's a good friend.
Okay.
But at some point, he's.
Are we ever going to set this and kind of work this government because it's paralyzed by all the gimmicks?
I think it's been definitely more. What's the word for it? Yeah, it's polarized. Is the best word for it.
And disorganized. And
but in a way that's good because that keeps the government from doing too much. I'm a less is more guy when it comes to the government.
But how is it beneficial to the public when we have bills that can benefit the public? It's sitting there idle.
Well, we do and we don't, though. We've got bills that it's going to benefit one person, it hurts another person.
Okay.
And right now, I'm more of a keep the laws simple. I tell my city when they ask me, well, what's your views? What's your big goals for the city? I said, I want to keep the streets safe. I want to keep them well paved, well lit. I want to keep everybody safe so you can live your own lives and run your own business.
Well, that's what government should be. Yeah. I mean, taking the infrastructure, keeping it up, but as you know, that's not what.
Yeah, I sit on regional boards that I don't believe should exist. There's one called, if the folks want to look up, Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, and there's acronyms everywhere, SCAG and ABAG and SANDAG and SANDBAG, and every group, every area is being literally run by a regional board.
Is it paid appointment?
Well, if you go, no, not really. You show up and they I think it's $100 to show up for a day or something. It's to cover your travel and your driving.
Yeah.
But the thing is, these groups are coming up with new rules and new laws and new regulations, not going to help anybody. They're not targeted to help people. They're targeted to help the globe from not melting down from global warming. It's all.
Well, we do have something happening to the environment. I mean, we can't deny that.
I actually.
We are in drought.
But there's been droughts in the past, and there's droughts in the future.
Yes,
and
but we didn't have 35 million people living in the state when we had droughts.
Well, but they still had droughts. So
yeah, but it was less severe because we used less water. But we have more people.
Well, what we need to focus on, as you know, you and I are common sense guys. We've been friends for closing on 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you have a drought, you build bigger dams and you save more water and you think ahead. And these environmental groups are tearing down dams. They're tearing down water storage because they believe they need to bring it back to they call it rewilding.
Okay.
They want to rewild California for the little animals. But as you said, we've got millions and millions and millions of people living here. That is going to be a problem for the people.
Well, it's not only, listen, I understand your point that environmental cannot be changed, or we cannot change the environment or the global atmosphere with only few. But the total population, the Earth never had 7.5 billion people with 2-3 billion cars and smokestacks and all this. So we are putting more crap into the atmosphere.
But they're saying we're putting carbon dioxide.
Okay.
And I'm carbon dioxide that's the chemical of life. We could use twice the carbon dioxide.
We put a lot of greenhouse
gases are good too.
But it's reflecting more heat. And the fact is that we had major storms in the East Coast. It doesn't mean that we are out of the woods, that it's global cooling. We are, the environment, the atmosphere is shifting. The temperatures are warming up.
That's funny. Technically, they haven't warmed in almost 18 years. And that's on a global level. This is what I study,
was
guys.
One of the warmest in recorded history.
And they had no facts to back it up.
Okay.
They were just saying that. But
so how would your facts are more accurate than theirs?
Well, because I mean, they're just not using facts. They're just they say it and nobody calls them on it. So I was this last July, I was at the 9th International Conference on Climate Change with nearly 900 scientists that basically contradict all the stuff in the media. Well, let me tell you why they're doing that.
Okay.
It's the government at all levels likes to control and regulate.
Okay.
And if they don't create some hype and some fear, they do that through fear and through everybody feeling wonderful about this little religion called global warming. And that's way they can get people behind their programs and to roll over. And otherwise we wouldn't be.
How do you describe then the seals that they are picking from the starving seals on the California coast?
Well, let's
from like 10 to 1,200?
I haven't been following the seals. I have been following the polar bears.
Okay.
Because they keep talking about the polar bears. And I saw that Nissan Leaf commercial where they have the little polar bears and they hug you or something. Yeah, they don't do that. They eat you. But in the last 25 years, polar bears have increased by about 5-fold. So they've increased the population of the polar bears, increased almost 5 times.
Is it because we're not shooting them and killing them?
Well, we've protected so much land, and I don't think we ever really hunted that many polar bears, unless they were a big problem. But I mean, I'm not talking about the Eskimos, but I think those are mainly whales, and the baby seals, which was a bad thing.
Yeah.
But no, the real numbers are out there. The real important item is the unemployment levels and our workforce, and the food stamps going up from in the 20 million people to in the mid 40 million
what's the
people.
difference between the food stamps and all the corporate welfares that we given them? Corporate tax and incentives and contracts.
They're tax benefit. We've all had tax write-offs and such. I mean, you say,
but
big oil just has a tax write-off to R&D. People get development write-offs like every other industry.
Okay.
But I bring up Solyndra.
Okay.
Solyndra is where the government flat out gave them $500 million
Okay.
And then but knowing they were going to fail from the get-go.
I don't know if they took the money just to fail, but there's defense programs that went to corporations and nothing came out of it.
I call that cronyism. that's and it comes out on both sides. Once again, I'm not here to defend Republicans. I'm here to defend common sense. They've got the government shutting down.
That's what they don't have.
Yeah, the government exactly, and the government is shutting down the A-10 program. Yeah. I love that plane, that Warthog. That's a beautiful ground cover plane, and they want to build up a $1 billion program for another plane when this one does the great job.
Yesterday, I heard that there is like a $2-3 billion worth of tanks that's sitting, getting rusted in the middle of the desert.
Or how about giving the MRAPs and the military vehicles to our local law enforcement?
Yeah,
I've got a huge problem with that.
Militarizing the police.
I think I'm a pretty big Second Amendment guy.
Yes.
And a lot of that is, it's fun to hunt and fish and do that. But also when you've got a lot of groups out there, when the government's giving our local law enforcement groups heavy armed military vehicles, I get a little
But
nervous
that's
about
part of the whole Homeland Security
how many
crazy spending programs.
And the airports, do we all like being patted down and X-rayed? I don't like being that X-rayed at the airports when we've got an open southern border.
Exactly.
And open northern border. Those Canadians are trouble, I tell you. But
it's the only. I think it's in Israel they have more terrorist threats and all this.
Oh,
you don't take your shoes down. You don't take your belt. They have a
because
system.
they're fantastic. They do the interview. They profile.
They profile. They walk around and check
honestly.
you out.
And I'm one of those guys. I'm going on record. I've said it before. I don't have a huge problem with profiling. In that if middle-aged blonde guys like me were causing all kinds of trouble, I'd say, pull me aside every day and talk to me because I'll be going after those guys too.
I think in one hand we're trying not to profile because we don't want to pick one specific group, but if the specific group giving you a problem, you pick them out.
If there's one group that can't play well in the sandbox with everybody else,
take them out.
You gotta take them out. You gotta not take them out, but at least question them and make sure that their motives are pure.
Yes, I agree 100%. Well, we are out of time for this segment, and we will be back. Welcome back to Plugin. Our guest today is Mike Munzing, and we are talking about all kind of politics and conservative issues today. So here we go.
Which is right up my alley. That works for me.
Yes. So last segment we were talking about all kind of the crazy global gases and government spending,
environmental issues,
as well as welfare for the rich, welfare for the poor, all kind of welfare.
Everybody's getting their hand in there.
And it seems like the 1% are getting richer and richer. But part of it because
that's
of all
a very Occupy Wall Street view of it. Yeah. So
I am like on the border of that. I don't believe in welfare and giving to anybody. Right. I mean, everybody, you give man a fish and you can feed him for a day. You show him how to fish.
Exactly.
And that's what we should be mainly focused on. I mean,
the Bible talks about taking care of the widows and the orphans and those who truly, truly need help. Absolutely. And
Yes.
people say, oh, you're for no government. No, government absolutely serves a role.
It has its own
to keep
place.
us safe,
Yeah.
to keep us free.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of the issue. But my point was, I'm more of a who is it? One of our founding fathers. I can't remember which one, but Benjamin Franklin. How could I forget that? See, he spent a lot of time in Europe and France, and he saw what a full entitlement state, even back then, did to the society.
Okay.
So as he says, you need to keep the poor as uncomfortable in their poor. You have to keep them uncomfortable.
It should be a program where it has ending to it, and you have to get on your feet and go.
And you don't want to make it a pleasant process. You don't want to benefit people. You don't want to make them warm and fuzzy in their poorness.
No.
Where they,
we
have
understand.
EBT cards because we don't want to call them food stamps because then they feel bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I disagree with all that.
Yeah, I want them to feel bad and want to do something to get off it.
Yes, especially when you can walk down the street and find work, or these poor illegal immigrant or whatever, they can come to the country not even speaking the English and find jobs.
And that's a bigger problem as well, because we talk about in my world, I hear so much of they're doing the jobs that Americans just won't do. I think that's a big pile, because then Americans should be willing to do these jobs, and we should not be benefiting and subsidizing their lives or fully paying for their lives so they won't do tough jobs.
Some of the jobs the Americans don't want to do, which is fine.
But when we're paying generation after generation of their families to not do anything,
then
they need to. If you want to eat, you need to work.
Yes.
Work fair they've gotten rid of recently.
Yes,
so you don't
I 100% agree with you. I think you should be motivated more than just going in the line.
And unemployment as well. I can't tell you how many managers I've met with, and I'm a lender, mortgage lender for 27 years, and I've worked with a number of folks I was doing loans for, and they told me, hey, we're trying to hire people, but they're on unemployment. They're making more money on unemployment,
than what you are,
so there's no way they're going to take the job.
No motivation.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, okay, let's go on another point here. Ted Cruz, your mentor.
My buddy Ted.
Announced that he's going to run.
I'm 7 years older than Ted.
It's 2 years for the elections. We're just started 15, and it's in 2016.
And amazingly, 2 or 3 weeks ago, others were saying that Ted's been very quiet. We haven't been hearing from Ted. What's Ted doing? Now, I've been on the inside track. I've known since 2012, 2013 that Ted was seriously looking at this, and I know some of his consultants that he's been talking to.
All right,
so
I think his chances is 0 to none to get elected. But here we go.
I would disagree wholeheartedly. Just watch the groundswell.
He started with like Netanyahu. No two-state solutions. He wins. Two-state solution is there. Yesterday, I heard his speech. I am going to abolish the IRS. That's one of the. I am going to defund Obamacare.
Which we need to do, of course.
What's the plan to replace it? Is anything on the table? If you want to change, you have to come up with an idea. This idea is bad. This is a better idea.
Well, it's not even a matter, and that's why I got upset with the Republicans when we need to defund and replace, repeal and replace with what?
With what?
I mean, we had a system that was working.
Which one?
The previous system. We had not a government program. We had the private sector. There is a private sector out there that's doing a great job. Doctors and insurance agents. What we needed to do, which whether we can get back to this at this point is going to be difficult.
Yes.
But car insurance. You can get car insurance across state lines. Yeah. The government had so many regulations and restrictions.
But in California, if you are poor and you can afford, they give you car insurance.
Well, you get car insurance too. Yeah. But once again, I'm talking about selling across state lines.
Okay.
Here in California, we had a few. My brother works for Kaiser. That's more of an HMO.
Yeah.
But PPOs, you had obviously Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and it was very limited to what you could do.
Okay.
You get other insurance in other states, but they were not
allowed to compete. But we had issues, pre-existing, you couldn't get this.
And a lot of that was caused because of the fact they could not compete across state lines.
Okay.
It was such a vertical system across the country.
Okay.
And once you can compete across state lines, you can defer your costs, defer your risk, and offer more benefits.
But if
at
the
a certain
same
cost.
4 insurance companies are in cahoots and they're price
there were
fixing,
considerably more. For me, you had not one Republican voting for Obamacare.
Okay.
There were so many deals that were cut, backroom deals that were cut. There was so much influence that was pressed upon folks. I've got friends
they tried
who were
it
part
53 times already and they failed to defund it or to change it.
Those are feeble efforts, and those are purely they were
How many
ridiculous.
times we have to
they were
try?
ridiculous votes.
Okay.
But
now,
when I look at, I stand hard against bullies.
Okay.
And when you've got different groups from Obama's administration going into medical groups and saying, if you do not back us on this, we will destroy you, your company, and we'll go after your family. These were threats that were made to people that I know in this country and in rooms
and
with
people got away with it.
Oh yeah,
making
get away
these
with it all day
threats.
long. We're gonna come after you. Look at how many people were. Look at on a totally different issue. Look at the deception of the whole Benghazi deal. You got that whole Benghazi.
It's 3 years ago. What about 9/11 and the invasion of Iraq? How come we are not?
Well, of course, and those were
with yellow cake and green cake.
Yellow cake. Wait a minute, yellow cake. But see, that's the funny thing with Iraq and the WMDs. Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that Saddam Hussein bombed the Kurds. He used weapons of mass destruction against his own
but
people.
He bombed the Kurds way before.
So to think he
9/11.
didn't have, so you don't, but
and look what happened now. Okay,
to say that he didn't still have those. Oh, but my point about Benghazi was they're blaming it on a little guy in I think San Diego or something made a video. He made a YouTube video that nobody had really watched and said that's why they're attacking
in Benghazi. And then they changed the story. But
once again, they keep changing the story.
Bush and Cheney, they say, if you know today what you didn't know before, would you make different decision? They still, no, we will gone to Iraq and took Saddam
They kept it
out.
real quiet when they found that they did find weapons of mass destruction. But
they found?
Yeah, in the last couple of years. Yeah, they found them. They did, but hey, for me, we knew he had him before, and to think he got rid of him,
it took 13 or 12 years, and we took them all out.
We should not
and
have.
we've been there for 11 years, and we didn't find
that
a
was
thing.
a mess. We've made a lot.
And look what happened.
We're still in Afghanistan.
Now we have ISIS. We didn't have ISIS before.
I know.
We have Al Qaeda. We didn't have Al Qaeda in the Middle East before.
And we got Iran. Iran's about to have nukes.
Iran about to have nukes. Iran is going to control Iraq, Yemen, and Saudi Arabia in the middle where the oil is. It's going to be a problem.
It's a big mess. We've had foreign policy, even over the last 6 years, has been a complete mess. But even before, it wasn't. I'm not defending anybody. I'm saying, look, we got a mess. Are we dealing with it correctly now? Absolutely not.
So what's the solution then? Especially there.
I'm not a huge foreign policy, wonk guru.
You are in the politics part of it.
Yeah, but I'm a city councilman in Aliso, VA.
But you're like an octopus. Your tentacles everywhere.
I do have tentacles everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I do believe in standing much stronger against the evil.
Boots on the ground?
We'll see how it goes. I don't know all of our unmanned vehicle opportunities, but I do think we knew where they were.
Even Yemen now.
We've got Yemen. My nephew is in Djibouti. He's in just first deployment with the Army, so I'm very proud of him.
I thought they just got him out from there, Yemen.
But Djibouti's across the water.
Oh, okay.
It's across either next door or is it one of them? I forget. I haven't looked at the map lately. Okay. But he's one of the ones. You got Yemen, and you've got the guy who's across
Oman.
Something, you know it better.
And Somalia on the other side.
Exactly. So
and more.
But he's on the big base in Djibouti. Keep him on the base. He said he's blowing stuff up and drills. So good. Send me videos. But no,
so
he's a
what?
Good kid.
Boots on the ground. Everybody says, we should do more. What should we do in there to solve?
Well, right now we're doing what? 7 airstrikes a day. That's 7. That's not.
I don't know if that's 7, but there's
that's
the British,
the latest
French.
average number.
Okay.
And we know where these guys are. We've got so many unmanned vehicles, don't we?
But we
know exactly where these guys are?
Yes, but we can't keep going there and solving their problem.
No,
I think they have to solve their own
not.
problem. I think spending the money and giving them the weapons, they gave it right to ISIS, and the first shot was fired.
I think we're still arming them.
And who?
We are.
The Iraqis.
No, Americans.
American arming the Iraqis.
Well, I've seen a lot of.
Well, now.
I mean,
but
because they're always naming different people. It's always about, it's Assad. Well, we need to arm the guys against Assad. Well, that's ISIS is against Assad. You got the militants.
Yeah,
we need to arm the militants. But the
I
militants
say,
are bad guys.
close the border, let them kill each other. We had civil war in this country.
Yeah.
And after that, we got our act together.
Yeah, I'm saying that you have a lot of bad guys over there killing a lot of other bad guys over there.
So
let
that's
them.
fine.
Let them. Okay.
And watch them out until.
Don't give them all the bullet.
And don't let them come this way.
Support our friends, the Kurds. The Kurds are.
Yes.
The Kurds are our friends.
But so is the Turkish, and the Kurds hate the Turkish.
Well,
and if you
if
you support the Kurds, then you have a problem with the Turkish.
Well, the Turkish are getting a little interesting now. We've got. What's the leader's name now? It's Erdogan.
Yeah.
Erdogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little bit more of a character than I'm used to.
Yeah.
So. Keeps it interesting to be sure. It is to say it's complex is a big understatement.
Yes.
It's very complex.
Yes. It's crazy and complex, and we just rattled the cage out. We got all the rats out of their cages and out of the holes.
We have left them all out of their cages.
And now we have a problem.
And poor Netanyahu and the Israelis are having a real problem.
Everybody.
They're right in the middle of it, though.
Everybody around. So is the Saudis. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're coming close to our second segment, and we thank you, Mr. Munzing. Go ahead and plug your company. I know you're in mortgage.
Yeah, I'm with Munzing Mortgage Group down in San Clemente, California. You can always find me on the internet. Just look me up on Facebook, or last name is spelled Munzing. Find me anytime. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm easy to find. Thanks.
Thank you for listening. This is the end of Plugin. We'll see you at the end of this show on Plugin. We'll see you on our next show, number 24.